Hey y'all, and welcome to Monner's Market, and welcome to the Chalk with Me collab. So what we are doing today is my Chalk Couture team and I have decided to get you guys to do a try me kit. And what the purpose of that is for is so that you can try a little bit of everything that Chalk Couture has to offer, and to see how completely versatile one transfer can be. When you get finished watching this playlist today, you are going to be amazed at all of the things you can do with one transfer. I will tell you more about the Try Me kit and everything else about Club Couture a little bit further in the video. But for now, let's get into DIY number one. So for DIY number one, I'm going to use this cute little mason jar stand-up that I got from the Dollar Tree. That is what it looked like before I started. And what I did is just gathered all of my colors and my transfer that we're using today. And that's the I Love You More Than Pumpkin, or it's actually called the Pumpkin Anything transfer. This is what I did when I got my kit and did my live unboxing. I'll show you that a little bit better in just a few minutes. But for now, I'm just going to show you something else that you can do with that same transfer. Now, I took the paper off of the little mason jar that I got from the Dollar Tree and cleaned it up. I am going to go in with my white Waverly chalk paint, and I am going to just give it one good coat of paint so that I can have a background on the surface that I'm using. Now, even though I'm using a Dollar Tree surface, Chalk Couture has a large variety of surfaces that you can buy in different shapes and sizes and forms, and oh my goodness, they are just absolutely gorgeous. And they do work better with the transfers than something like this that I got from the Dollar Tree. However, you see here that it is just as versatile as can be. Now I'm going to take some Moss Paint by Waverly. It's a chalk paint, and I'm just going to go around the edge of my mason jar just to give it a little bit more depth and dimension and color. So once my paint dries, I'm going to take my transfer and I am going to lay it a little bit, I would say a little further than halfway down, and I am going to just do the word pumpkin first. Before you do that, what you need to do is you need to take your transfer and you need to fuzz it. You want to put it on your little fuzzing cloth, and you want to get some of the stickiness off of there, because what would happen is that when we stick it on our surface to use it, and when we go to pull it back up, sometimes you can pull up that blue color on the back because it sticks so well that it'll leave a little bit of that color behind. So you want to make sure you fuzz it and you get, a lot of the sticky kind of off of it, where when you pull it back up, it's just a really clean, crisp line. Now, I am going to sort of just take my time and make sure that I've got it in the middle of my little mason jar. And once I have it where I want it, I'm going to pull out my chalk paint and start chalking. Now, the color that I chose is the color Orange Peel, and it is the perfect color for my little pumpkin and the word pumpkin. So I'm going to use this color on both of those. Now, this is a little singles pack that you can get. I've already used it before. There is still a ton of chalk in there, and if you see what I'm putting on that little squeegee right there, you will see that it takes very little chalk. So when you go in and you look at the prices and you're saying $7, $8, $9, $10 for a jar of paste, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. Well, no, it's not, because it literally takes a dab to do everything that you need to do. I mean, look how far that one tiny little dot has covered so far, and I'm not even finished yet. So I would say that I end up using about the size let me think, probably the size of an eraser tip on a pencil is all I used for the word pumpkin and the actual pumpkin that you will see me do in just a few minutes. So the value that you get when you are buying your chalks and your paste for your transfers is absolutely amazing. And I was just blown away. Honestly, when I first opened this kit and saw those little packets, I thought, well, that was pretty cheap. They could have sent me a little bit more than that. And then once I got into it and started seeing how far this goes, I was just blown away. And I thought, you cheapskate, you. How dare you? So you see there, I have to retract. I don't think I used but maybe a half of a pencil eraser whenever it comes to the chalk that it took to do this word pumpkin. And I'm not finished because I am going to scrape off what I didn't use. And when I move my transfer in a minute to do my pumpkin, I'm going to use the remainder of that for that pumpkin. You'll see what I'm talking about here in just a minute. So now I am going to remove my transfer. Now, I did not put a whole lot on the transfer because I want it sort of rustic looking. I don't want a really good thick coat on there because I'm not sure how well this will sand off if I were to try to use a sander, like a hand sander, the little sanding block that you can get from Dollar Tree, to rough it up. So I figured I would just go a little bit lighter in some spots and give it sort of that rustic half painted look. So I'm just going to take my heat gun and dry over my paste really quick. And the paste dries quick anyway, but I was, I'm so impatient. If you've watched me before, I am very impatient. So I went ahead and used my blow dryer, or my heat gun, should I say, and just dried it off real quick. Once I got that done, I was ready to move on to the next part. So on this next part, I'm going to put my transfer just above pumpkin to where it will say, I love you. So my picture is actually going to say, I love you, pumpkin. So you see, on the one that I gave you just a little brief preview of, it said, I love you more than pumpkin anything. Well, now I'm only going to use I love you, pumpkin. And then there are so many other things that you can use this transfer for instead of just going from top to bottom and using it like it is. So now I am going to take the color Meadow. It's a green color and it's a little bit darker than what I wanted. So I'm going to mix some of my white paste in there with it. And again, watch how little I use of this paste. It is absolutely ridiculous. Now, when I used this paste the last time, I put it in these little Ziploc baggies. Like, you can get those little Ziploc baggies from the Dollar Tree. And I want to say there's 40 or 50 in the package. And it worked perfect for holding these little packets of chalk or paste. Chalk paste, I guess either one would work. But again, you see how absolute tiny bit of chalk that I'm using right here. So like I said, it is an amazing value. But anyway, you just take your squeegee and you put it down and rub it on and pull your transfer off, and voila, look how cute. So now it has dried again. I'm going to come back up with the bottom piece, and all I'm going to put on is just a little pumpkin and the leaves that go to the pumpkin and the stem. So I am going to use my orange peel for the pumpkin, the little mixture, the meadow and the white for the leaves, and then the shimmer gold for the little stem. And once I get that done, I am finished with the transfer for this little project. Then all I have to do is reattach my little galvanized piece that goes to the top, add some twine around the top edge, make me a little small finger bow, and you will see me add one of the little natural half beads to the top of my bow to finish it off, and that's it. And I absolutely love the way that this turned out. So make sure you tell me down in the comments below what you think about the way this turned out and how amazing it is that you can use this transfer in so many different ways. So after I show you the little preview here of how this cute little mason jar turned out, I am going to show you a little bit better view of the original picture that I done using the entire transfer. Look at that, how cute that is, y'all. You can't tell me that you're not falling in love with that right now. I can't wait to start decorating for fall. Now this is the one that I did when I did my unboxing. I did do a live video that I will link below where you can see when I did this. I did not actually film me. I did film me putting the paste on, but I did not have an angle view down where you could see what I was doing. It was more of an unboxing and a, you know, kind of talking about what I had. But I did want to go back and show you how beautiful this is. And again, like I said, I'll link the video down below. But look how it looks on the little surface stand that I got in my kit. I will tell you more about the kit at the end of the video and how you can become a designer if you are interested in it. But this is the transfer in its entirety. So if you wondered what it would look like with the whole thing done, this is what it looks like, and that's why I wanted to add this to the video. Now, I am going to use the transfer one more time. I got this little round from Hobby Lobby. It came in a package of several of these rounds and several little squares. And all I'm going to use this time is just the pumpkin and a couple of the leaves. That's all I'm going to use because I'm going to add this to the bottom of a beaded garland that I'm making for today's video. And you see I'm still on that little bit of chalk that I started using in the beginning. So now I have used it for the word pumpkin, and I am using it for my second actual pumpkin. And if truth be told, I would have enough to do one more pumpkin left with my chalk, but I didn't have a way to save it off of my little squeegee there. Now, originally I had put these little trays in plastic baggies and was going to use them again, but decided to use chalk straight out of the little packets. You can see me do that. I didn't want to use it from the tray and then you not be able to see how little it took to get what was in the tray. I hope that makes sense. So now I'm just going to go back in and add my little leaves to my design that I'm going to use for my little round. And like I said, that round is going to go to the bottom of a beaded garland that I'm making for today's video. So now I'm going to show you the absolute easiest way in the world to make a beaded garland. I take 3 of these throwaway cups or whatever, however many colors you're going to use. This is the Pumpkin by Waverly. It's a chalk paint. I am going to put maybe, oh my goodness, 1/4 of a teaspoon. I don't know, I didn't measure, but you'll see it's a very, very, very little bit of paint down in the cup. And then I'm going to add a drop or 2 of water. Once I get that done, I'm going to swirl it together and sort of mix it up. You see such a tiny little drop of paint going in. And then, like I said, just a drop of water. You see me drop my 6 beads down in there and just swirl it around, and it's that easy. Now I'm going to use the moss, and again, just a little drop of water, swirl it around, drop in my beads and swirl them around, and it covers completely every little inch of those beads. Then I'm going to use my white Waverly chalk paint, another little drop, pour it in there. I was going to see if I could do it without adding the water, but it wasn't picking up the white very well. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, you can see. So once I added that little drop of water and mixed it, voila, bamboozle, it was done. And my beads were painted. So then I used a skewer to pull them all out and let them dry overnight, and that's what they look like. And then it was as easy, you've seen me do this a million times, as stringing it onto my twine. Then I just tie a couple of knots at the end of each piece so that my beads don't come off. And at one end I am going to make a little tassel, and at the other end I'm going to add that little round that we made. Now, making a tassel is the easiest part. I take my twine and I wrap it around my forefingers, I don't know, 25 or 30 times. I've never really counted it. And then I will take a piece of the twine and run it through the middle like you see, tie a double knot right there, make sure it's good and tight. And then once I get that tied, I'm going to pull and bring it down. And I'm so sorry that I'm not in frame. I thought I was when I was doing this. But you want to pull it down and grab another piece of string and make your little head for your tassel. And that's just as simple as putting the string around it and tying it in a couple of knots. Or, you know, one knot, whatever. As long as your knot is good and tight, then it doesn't matter. And then once you get that done, you take your scissors and you want to cut straight down the middle of that bottom fat loop. And what that's going to do is create your actual tassel. Then I like to bring it together one last time and even it up and give it a little haircut and just, you know, a little trim, make sure it's all even. I always like to tie a piece of tape around the bottom while I'm working on it because it's a little bit wild, and that does help to tame it down a little bit. And now I'm just going to go in and tie my tassel to my string. I don't normally do it this way, but I forgot to do it the way that I usually do. So this is a little backwards this time for me. So now I'm going to take the pieces that were left hanging from my tie, and I'm just going to unravel it and just fray it all out and just make a cute little unraveled, frayed, I don't know, just a little, you see right there what it is. I don't even know what to call it. Now I'm going to take the round that we just made with the transfer, and I'm going to add it to the bottom of my beaded garland. My original thought was to take my drill and add a hole and do it like I always do and just tie it to the bottom, but I thought it would be cute to try something different. So as you see, I am taking my hot glue and the twine, and I am just going to glue it all the way around the bottom, and it's going to meet perfectly right there at the end. And it's different. It doesn't have a hole in it, and it just, I love the way it turned out. So make sure you tell me what you think about this whole entire video, the beaded garland, and especially the way it turned out by adding that twine around the bottom like I did. So here is one final look at my beaded garland and another way that you can use that little transfer. Now, I didn't get real fancy with the transfer on the little round because the main star of the show is the beaded garland itself. But you see, you don't have to use the whole transfer at one time. You've seen me use it 3 different ways in my video alone. And now I'm going to show you everything that I have done with one transfer. Look at how cute this all turned out. Make sure you go watch the playlist because now you're going to see several other people using, using the same exact transfer, doing several different things, and none of them are alike. So I'm excited to finish the video up myself so I can run over and watch the playlist and see what everybody else has done. Now, if you are still with me, put a pumpkin down in the bottom of the comments. Thank you, if you are still here, for sticking around with me and hanging out until the end. Now I have a special surprise for anyone